the idea that they then have to refer to Abuja to say, well, people are rioting and being killed, but should we do anything about it? Because the police then get into a situation where
Sorry,
they
is that
start...
how they operate?
Well, I don't know if you remember right at the beginning when there was a situation in Ogun State where there was a masquerade and there was a crisis with the Hausa community. And the governor, who was then Segun Oshoba, now asked the police to respond to the crisis that was brewing. And they said they had to refer to, they had to get instructions from Abuja before they could do anything. And it's an extreme situation, but one can see that the idea that one needs this kind of clearance. And when you know that the whole political control of the police is with the president, then you start to second guess, would the president like it if political party supporters are clashing? Would the president like it if we just go in and act as police and arrest everybody who's causing trouble rather than deal with one side? Then they start second guessing, and then the IG also has to remember, because if things go wrong, you know, the president can get me sacked, removed at any time, and then so it's a cumulative problem that it's set out in the legal framework of the section of the Constitution which says that he shall respond to lawful directives of the president, and the same thing with the governors. The legal framework, as I said, also talks about the issue of whether or not one can have state police. Now, we're very clear that the mistake that has been made at the centre must not be replicated at the state level. So if governors are saying, oh, the president's got some police Johnny that he can, you know, order around and, you know, make him do what he wants, we want that too. We're saying no, the president should not even have that power. The president should be concerned with the policy. But for the governor now to say that I also want to be able to have that power, we say no, that is not really what the role of political leaders should be.
You know, one thing I find very interesting is the complementarity of this report. You say it's supposed to complement the Paris Sayende reports. What do you think was particularly missing from that report?
We haven't seen the report. I haven't seen the report, so I can't say what was missing. What we wanted to complement was the procedure. And also because there's this idea that the only people who should talk about police reform and what the police are doing are the experts, that leave it to the experts. And we say no, that the Nigerian people have a lot more wisdom in this field than might be thought. There's a lot of knowledge out there in the people about what is happening at the cutting edge of policing. And I think that it's particularly important because we've had this idea of policing is a matter of controlling people. The colonial power, Britain, did not set up the police because crime was rampant in Nigerian society at the time when the colonial government came in. They set it up to control the people. And now that crime has increased, crime that affects ordinary people, you still find that the police's major concern is not are the people being robbed, are the people being killed, are the people having their peace and security disturbed, but how do the political overlords see it? Are they concerned? And that's why you find that when you have these incidents like the Apple 6, that the people almost have to riot. Or, I mean, almost any day you can pick up the paper, the police have gone too far. The people then demonstrate or have some kind of counter-reaction. And then the police step in to say, oh, we're going to do something about it. Because their primary objective is not the security of the people. And so we felt that that element is actually the missing link in police reform in Nigeria. And that, in fact, if you don't carry the people along, if you don't hear the people's voice, then the idea that Nigeria will be a democratic society policed by consent will continue to elude any attempt at police reform. It's not that everything that we have found is drastically different from what other panels have found. I mean, other panels have also talked about human rights abuses. They've also talked about the poor conditions that ordinary police officers are subjected to. But we are saying that you must hear the voice of the people, and where it's different, then it's what the people want that should really prevail.
Well, I haven't seen the Paris IND report, but we do remember some time ago the furore over, you know, whether or not the Ministry of Police should stay, and or whether or not, you know, it should go. And there was a fierce, let me say, refusal on the part of the Minister for Police then, saying that no,
Kelsey Priest,
it has to stay. Do you find any, I think one of the recommendations is that police is over-regulated and there's a duplication of regulation or functions. How do you think that they can reconcile that particular conflict?
Well, I mean, it's funny you use the word over-regulated, because despite all these bodies, there's actually a sensation or a feeling in the general public that they are actually beyond regulation, that they still do what they like. So in a way, it's a lot of bodies, but perhaps the clash of those bodies or the duplication of functions mean that it becomes one of those anybody, everybody, somebody and nobody type of situations. In our report, we have clearly said that the ministry as it stands is duplicating functions that should lawfully be performed by either the Nigeria Police Force or by the Police Service Commission. And those are both bodies which are stipulated in the Constitution. Now, of course, the Constitution also says that you can have ministries and that there may be a minister designated by the President and so on. So it's not that we're saying that the existence of a Ministry of Police Affairs is unconstitutional, but we're saying what is the actual job that it's supposed to do.
And you also want it restructured. You say restructured and renamed the Ministry of Public Safety and Security.
And that's because if you look at the report, you'll see that we've identified these bodies like NAPTIP against trafficking in persons, EFCC, NDLEA drug law, and so on. A lot of these bodies are picked out, you know, to perform functions which are actually policing functions. Then you have this plethora of, how do we put it, quasi or disguised local efforts. You could call them vigilantes, but we find that a lot of the human rights abuses that take place, these are even worse because you don't even have a police force to sue. And we're saying that all of these things, they need to be harmonized. You remember in one of the cases of a recent murder of the Comrade Olaiton, Oyende Olaiton, where you had the police and the State Security Service apparently working at complete cross purposes. One saying we've got our own suspects, the SSS, who we all thought was the kind of security and rather behind the scenes body, coming out with their own, said we've got our own, and parading suspects and all these things. And we feel that, look, this sort of thing does not inspire confidence in the public that policing is happening. So we say that let these bodies, let the ministry, if there's to be a ministry about security, dealing with security, that it should be one which encompasses and coordinates all of these different strands.